know things, I know some too. Sit right down, the femsplain 'em to you. If there's a thing you wanna explain, these two feminists can entertain. Nerdy stuff, sexy stuff, so much to know. Tune in for the Femsplain Show.
Femsplain! Hi, listeners.
Hello, Diana.
Welcome.
Welcome to Femsplained.
Femsplained. This is a super special episode of Femsplained because it's Femsplained again.
Fem-resplained.
Resplained. We've put our thing down, we flipped it and reversed it, and I guess, what is Femsplained, Avalon?
I don't know. What is put our thing down, flip it, and reverse it?
Missy Elliott classic.
Oh, Missy Elliott. Is that the same artist that composed My Neck, My Back?
How dare you, first of all? That was Kia. And we already fought about this.
We did, but Francis is the one who got that wrong.
So, Kia is the genius behind My Neck, My Back, which will never die. Thank you for...
I've been told that's a very political song.
Francis, Avalon, and I had I looked it up on our phones. It was an 1 and 20-minute long fight about the political influence of and intention of writing the song My Neck, My Back at like 11 o'clock in the morning for me. So 8 o'clock in the morning for them.
We literally woke up fighting about it, and I don't know how or why.
Yeah, they were casually microwaving oatmeal while we were discussing the social implications of My Neck, My Back.
Yeah, basically, listeners, you know, and I know, and Diana knows, that the choice of the word crack just rhymed with back.
Yeah.
But for some reason, Francis thought it was a lot more nuanced than that.
Yeah, he thought that it was, an intentional choice to advance feminism. We could do a whole 1 and 20-minute argument about this again.
Apparently so. Apparently.
But how about we instead do Femsplained? So what is Femsplained?
Oh, what is Femsplained?
Oh, man,
Oh, shit, you don't know either?
You know what? I just remembered, because... Yeah,
oh, good.
It's okay. See, what happened was I had amnesia because someone hit me in the head, and then I just hit my head again, and so now I have my memory back, and I remember what Femsplained is.
Okay.
So Femsplained is a girls-only Clubhouse podcast.
It's all right. You've had some TBI.
Yeah. The girls.
Are you drooling?
I am.
A little bit.
Girls-only Clubhouse podcast where two queer femme human beings, Avalon and Diana, myself and you, get to talk about our experiences in nerd culture.
But that does not mean that people of every gender, non-gender, binary, non-binary identity can't listen, laugh, and learn with us. It's just that we think it's important to preserve these fucking spaces where we can talk. And clearly I know 80% of the script.
It's a script
and it all kind of trails off.
We don't need to. There's no boss. We don't need to adhere to these rules, Avalon.
It was just when I started feeling damn, I really got this down, that I was just fuck it. And this is a podcast. Mm-hmm. It's a Clubhouse podcast. It's a podcast. That's it. You know.
Yeah. And so last week
we re-femsplained Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, we didn't though.
And then I deleted it.
So now we're re-femsplaining Dungeons and Dragons. Actually, I really wanted to talk about tabletop RPGs. Oh, we can't do this yet.
In a mansplain minute, everything's explained. In a mansplain minute, tell the ladies what to say. In a mansplain minute. Putting 1 minute on the man watch and go. Dungeons and Dragons? Really? I guess we could have predicted that a show hosted by two ladies would run out of content pretty quick. But sure, let's revisit. As it happens, I've learned quite a bit more about Dungeons and Dragons since the first episode of this podcast, and let me tell you, it's just a bunch of 80s nostalgia hype. Everybody wants to play Dungeons and Dragons because it's so cool to watch Stranger Things and to listen to Toto's Africa as performed by Weezer, as performed by whatever. But you know what I think? I don't think anyone actually likes Dungeons and Dragons. Well, scratch that. I think maybe 5 people like Dungeons and Dragons in a given 1,000 people. And those people try to pawn it off on their friends, and everybody who wants to think that they're cooler or have more nerd cred jumps on the bandwagon and sits there for the first 3-hour game, hating their life but being afraid to say anything, and then the game just peters out. And people go back to doing fun things with their free time, like playing video games, or doing literally anything else. And that's your Mansplain Minute.
Well, so this week's topic is tabletop RPGs in general, which is not necessarily the same as our first episode as D&D, but also intentionally we all, the two of us, have long hated that first episode. Because
yeah, it's horrible to tell people. First of all, it's horrible to tell someone you have a podcast.
It's really horrible to tell someone.
It's horrible to tell someone you have a podcast and then know that they're going to listen to the first episode, and the first episode is by far the most awkward.
Yeah. We didn't know what we were doing. I didn't know how to edit. I was so
we literally didn't
nervous
know each
that I didn't speak. And yeah, that's right. You brought that up when we recorded this episode the last time. Is that we hadn't spoken to each other except through text in years.
Yeah.
So it was like...
And it was awkward.
Yeah, it was like finally meeting that Tinder date in person and wondering, like...
Am I talking too much? Like, are they having an okay time?
Yeah,
Is it
it was our
weird?
first date, so...
Do they like jokes? I don't know. What are jokes? Yeah, it was... You all witnessed our first date.
Yeah, and our first date, similarly to most first dates, came off very much like an interview.
It did. I came to the table with a list of questions. I checked them off. I have some professional experience as an interviewer, and I felt like that made me like really, really equipped to go into that situation. But I think it just made it really sterile.
I just really like that now we don't come to this podcast with lists of notes. We come to this podcast with wine and ramen.
I'm just thinking about that interviewer thing now, because God knows I'm not going to go listen to that first episode. But all of my interview experience is interviewing people about like severe trauma that they had. And I'm wondering if I brought that kind of like gentle, empathetic
I did
stoicism.
feel really cared for. Like during like... Not
Right.
that, like, anything I was talking about was traumatizing, but I felt really appreciated. So before I deep dive into the topic for real, though, we have a new little segment that we want to introduce. And it was Avalon's idea, so I really want Avalon to tell me what it is.
Ugh, I don't want... Because if it sucks, I want it to be an idea that came from the ether.
It's my idea. If it's good, it's Avalon.
Okay, cool. So the segment that we're introducing that does not have an intro song, even though I hope that one day it will, is called What Has Nerd Culture Done For You Lately?
That's what it's called. And
Okay, cool.
and basically each of us will ask the other what kinds of like nerd culture-y things we've gotten involved in recently or that we've experienced recently, so that we don't have to have separate episodes for like the fucking minutia of our lives, and we can just talk about these cool things that are happening.
Yeah.
So,
because not every game that we play deserves its own fucking episode. And also, we want to talk about those things. And maybe this will reduce the tangenting.
it won't. So Avalon, what has nerd culture done for you lately?
Okay. Well, since the last time we podcasted successfully, I got to play Super Smash Ultimate. It was touring the countryside, and it came right to my front door. Got to test it out. It was pretty fun. I don't like the new controllers, but that's fine.
Yeah, but you guys were like the first stop or whatever on this like major tour of them like bringing this game to colleges, right?
We were the first people in the world. Yeah, no. Yes and no. So they're promotionally, they're bringing it to a lot of places like conventions and stuff like that. But also, Nintendo is touring a bunch of like the big football state schools with like a big pop-up where you can compete in tournaments and try out Ultimate. And so the first stop on that tour was the University of Oregon. And the only other stop on the West Coast is somewhere in Washington, and then the rest is going to be headed eastward. But not a lot of people showed up. So it wasn't like, depressing, but the line was short enough that we got to go through and play a few times. Whereas I think probably if you're at like Gen Con, you probably are in line for a million fucking years and you barely get to play one round. But it was awesome. I felt like it was really authentic to the previous games in the franchise. A little bit prettier, a little bit graphically cooler. Some really cool new levels. And a couple of new characters you can play as, some of which seemed pretty broken already.
Which one was broken again? I know you said, but
I'm not telling you because of spoilers, but really it's Ridley the dragon from Metroid.
Oh, okay. Okay. Like I know what any of that shit means even. You could have lied to me.
And then also you can play from characters from Splatoon, which seemed pretty dope. I liked how their powers worked.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah. What else has Nerd Culture done for me lately? Speaking of the burlesque episode, I am producing a new Nerd Burlesque show.
Yay! Yay, 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 yay!
It's going to be in a month, so that's kicking
And what's
up.
the theme? What's the theme?
Villains.
Yes. I'm very excited.
Honestly, the theme is supposed to be any kind of villain that makes sense in pop culture, but almost all of the performers that have applied with Disney villain numbers. So it seems like that might actually turn out to be the theme, which is fine, but it wasn't my intention.
Yeah, but hey, that's whatever the mood is, among people, and I'm sure like it kind of gets contagious when somebody like suggests a Disney villain.
I think the problem is that I said it was a villain show, but the theme that I used on the Google sheet, the Google poll or whatever the fuck, Google form, to recruit people happened to have I used a picture of a Disney villain on it.
Oh.
So I think it's my fault.
Yeah.
But it's fine.
That's your fault.
Just
that's all right.
It's hard to find a collage of
you could do video game villains or retro villains for another
one. That was the idea.
Yeah, you can.
For another one. Well, it also is. So it's the weekend after Halloween. So the first weekend in November. So I felt like it was. I didn't want to do a Halloween show because, as awesome as that is, everyone else is doing a Halloween show. And I don't want to step on any toes. But villains kind of seemed the vibe is still there.
People might be able to, still be in that mood. Yeah.
Exactly.
I got that.
Yeah. So that's coming up. Francis and I have been playing Nine Parchments, which is an indie game on the Switch, which is a couch co-op dungeon crawler that is very clearly ripping off the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, but I think it's really fun and solid. And so I recommend
I'm really excited about this because you guys keep telling me about
if you
how
don't have to pay
challenging
very
it
much
is,
money
and that's
for
cool.
it. We're stuck on this one boss. But otherwise, it's been fun. You get to unlock spells, you get to unlock accessories, you get to unlock different wizards to play as. One of them is a steampunk metallic owl wizard.
That's cool. What?
A creepy, sphinxy cat wizard. One of them is a very blatant knockoff Hermione. One of them is a very blatant knockoff Ron.
And poor Ron is already a little bit of a knockoff.
Well, it's rough because you start out, at least for us as 2-player, you start out as the Hermione and Ron characters, and they have a similar dynamic to Hermione and Ron in the maybe first 2 or 3 books, but it's not really landing. It's really just coming across where Hermione is a fucking bitch. And Ron is really sad and just wants to be friends with her. It's not her uptight sort of aloofness is reading weirdly mean, mean.
Wow. So somebody did not like Hermione and they were just we're gonna finish this bitch.
At the top of levels, sometimes they have a little bit of dialogue where he's like, I hope that we get to be friends after this. And she's like, why would I be friends with you?
What the shit?
I know. I always feel really bad because that's the character I'm playing as, and I feel bad.
Wow. All right. Check your shit, Nine Parchments.
Yeah. Sometimes she's like, I'm surprised you're on this adventure because you seemed like a real coward in class.
Oh.
Their British accents are as bad as the one I'm doing right now.
Good. This is all canon.
That's why I'm doing a bad one. I could be doing a better one.
I believe you.
I can't think of anything else.
That's good enough. You should see.
Oh, I bought
Check
those laughing.
out our Instagram for pictures of Avalon and Francis with actually Mario and
The
Luigi.
world's worst Mario and Luigi.
They were so cute.
Their costumes were legit, but the actors inside of the costumes did not bring any energy whatsoever.
They were just walking around angrily smoking cigarettes through the felt holes in their mouth.
They took a lot of breaks and they didn't move, and I don't know. They seemed like they didn't understand how to move or see out of their masks.
There's no eye holes. That's why they're trapped there. They're indentured servitude, not up.
All right,
All
Diana.
right, what?
What has nerd culture done for you?
Oh
lately?
man, so much. I'm so blessed by nerd culture right now. So
Hashtag.
blessed. So one, I became obsessed with Detroit Become Human. It's maybe one of the fucking best games I've ever played. I feel frustrated by the fan community of this game because I
Why?
played it through twice in a row. The second playthrough is on Twitch. If you want to see me look stressed out for 7 hours, you can see that in real time. But I played it twice, like in a row, and loved it for every second of it. I was blown away by the storytelling, by the art, by the video game design choices that make you feel like you are in these people's bodies, like as these things are happening to them. And so I excitedly ran to Tumblr and to Reddit and to all these fan sites to try so hard to find like community around this thing, because I do that whenever I get obsessed with anything, Critical Role and Dungeons and Dragons and Dragon Age. And what I found was just a lot of Born Sexy Yesterday porn of Connor, and that is it. There's no other content out there. Nobody's talking about like how mind-blowing this like storytelling is, or like talking about how like writing fan fictions about Hank and like all of these amazing like in-depth characters that they've given us, and I want all of that. But it's really just a lot of porn about Connor being like new and shiny and fucking born yesterday. So anyway, Detroit Become Human is one of the best things I've ever seen. I've watched every single fucking documentary about how this game was made, and like this.
Oh, Diana, whoa. This genuinely feels like an episode.
It might be. But anyway, I love it, and I'm glad that it's in my life. So
it was just when you started getting into the making of documentary shit, I'm like, wait.
I don't know shit about it,
Save
but
it.
I'm obsessing about it. But anyway,
Okay,
so that's
whatever.
been a thing. I got to go to Ren Fair, and I got to cosplay Not the Brave from Critical Role Campaign 2. Which
I'm so happy. You need to publicize those photos more, because my Twitter is always people cosplaying that shit.
I know.
And you so easily could get a share.
I'm an idiot because I
retweet.
forget about the time jump, so I'm always posting like things while they're clearly like eating breakfast or like
Yeah, but that's not how Twitter works. People check it throughout the day.
or
You don't have to optimally time it when you know Sam Riegel is like taking his daily dump.
I do feel like I want to know when that is though, because I feel like I could get a lot
I feel
done.
like it's probably more than once.
Yeah. So
Also, we should
So
not
I
drink
got
out of our
to
mugs
be-
at the same time, because it just creates a very long silence.
So I got to be Not the Brave. It was the fucking best. First of all the costumes that I've done over the last couple of years, this one was the cheapest. It was so inexpensive. It was just getting some shitty ass rags and then face paint and like, oh god, it was so good. It came out so well. I walked into that Ren Fair thinking like if one person recognizes me, I'm going to be so happy. And what happened was I was being shouted at by like every 10th person, like, that's not the Brave. And I met a bunch of cool critters who showed me all of their cosplay pictures of like Percy and the Gentleman. And like, I just like all of these people was really cool, interesting.
What the fuck would the Gentleman
I
look
don't
like?
fucking...
I would never recognize the
I would
Gentleman.
never recognize the Gentleman. There's another one. Somebody did
Oh, you said Gilmore, right?
and I was just like, I mean, that's dedication, because I don't fucking
Yeah.
have a mental image of Gilmore in my head.
I would need Gilmore to be standing, maybe with Vax.
I
me
would
to
need
understand?
Gilmore to be like smooching on Vax for me to understand.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you know who else I see cosplays of on the internet that I would never recognize? Ugh, it's somebody else that fought with
Lady
them.
Kima. Yes.
Yes. I would never recognize Lady Kima.
I love Lady Kima. I never have a good picture of her in my head, but I think it's one of those things
Same.
where some one person did a fan art based on Matt's description and it took off as like
And it
the
took off,
established Lady Kima. Also, she's one of like the few like queer characters in Campaign 1 NPCs.
Oh,
So
right.
like fan culture took off with her because
Yeah.
of
her
you know,
and Gilmore.
that.
That makes sense.
Ton of queer like PCs in Campaign 1, but well, not a ton necessarily, but 2 at least. And
Who?
Vax and Percy.
Percy?
Yeah, Percy.
When was Percy queer?
Percy was attracted to Vax Sultan like a little tiny bit in the beginning of Campaign 1, and has had like some peppered in commentary about other like male NPCs and things before him and Vixalia became a thing.
I don't know how I feel about a bisexual person with twins of different sexes.
I mean, I know that's why it's a
It
little
feels
awkward,
like he was
but
just
like,
really rolling the dice.
it's I think obviously him kissing Vax was in like episode like 2, and it was played off as a joke, but it was kind of like ha-ha'd that it definitely wasn't one. But I mean, Campaign
Fascinating. But you're saying Vax is also bi?
Vax is also Vax is canonically bisexual. He had actual feelings for Gilmore, and Liam had in one Talks Machina episode addressed that with Matt after the fact and was like really appreciative that Matt like let them have that be a role play like element in the story, because he has himself always like struggled with identifying as bisexual because he never ever explored it when he like was unmarried and single. So like he like felt too awkward in college and like had crushes and things but never did anything about it. And so
He's my
I know I
favorite.
love him
I think
the
IRL
most.
is
He's such
my
a good
favorite.
boy. But then to have this way of like artistically expressing it through a character in a safe environment with your friends that's not outside of the boundaries of your
Yeah.
relationship, and like to just he just like expressed really appreciating that. And so he's
Is Marisha out yet?
I honestly don't know if she is or if she's just going super ham on the allyship, but I know I feel
Yeah.
I know.
I don't know. We just know.
So that's a Critical Role tangent. My not pictures are up on Instagram. I'm so excited about that.
Yes. And we're going to try to get them shared on the Twitters by the Sam Regal.
Yes. And then the last thing, and this will be in the past by the time this is posted, but this weekend I'm doing a gaming event, a gaming con I'm hosting in Somerville, New Jersey, and I'm running Honey Heist, and I'm playing in a Pathfinder game, and we're doing all sorts of good card games and drinking games, and everything's gonna be awesome. I'm so stoked. So yeah, Cogs is the best, and I feel super grateful for being involved in it. And if doing steampunk related gaming or like cosplaying or drinking a shit ton of mead or absinthe or whatever sounds awesome to you, then you should go and link up with the Cogs Expo and hang out with us. Anyway, so that's what nerd
I'm
culture
proud of
is.
you for being someone who creates content.
What?
And I'm proud of you for being someone who creates content and spaces and community.
I
and not just somebody who partakes of those things. Not that there's anything wrong with
There's nothing wrong with that, because that's honestly, I was that person for a long time and enjoyed it.
There's nothing wrong with that.
But
It's just that, like, I feel like you just went Charmeleon.
it did. I didn't realize that I could do it, and then when I did, I
Yeah.
got so excited, and I
know. I really relate to that with, like, the burlesque.
yes, exactly. So that's a nice segue, because that last thing, the tabletop gaming convention, is actually a segue into our topic, which is tabletop RPGs.
Okay, so we're talking about tabletop RPGs, which are different from tabletop games.
Yes, right.
What's the difference between the ones with the minifigs and the ones that are more role-playing?
So both usually have minifigures, but what you're thinking of are like wargaming, where
Yeah.
it's wargaming. I usually refer to as like tabletop strategy gaming instead of RPGs. So
Okay.
you're usually that's like Warhammer, War Machine, and Mordheim, and fucking Attack Wing, and whatever else.
Fuck is Attack Wing?
Attack Wing is a tabletop strategy game that's Star Wars inspired. So it's
Oh.
spaceships.
Spaceship.
I just call it spaceships when I'm in the
Spaceships
gaming store. I'm like,
game.
do you have any of those spaceships? And I say it just like that, and they don't kick me out because there are no standards for being a human being in those stores. So tabletop RPGs, though, usually are more focused on a storytelling perspective. They often have minifigures or battle maps, but most of it is a collective storytelling narrative that people are participating in. You have unique characters, you have unique stats from each other. Nothing is pre-rolled. Things are individualized person to person, and one person is at the helm, and that person is usually called a game master, GM, or a DM in specifically the case of Dungeons and Dragons. I've always really liked the word storyteller for that role. I think that it encompasses more of what that role actually is, especially when you're with a group of like experienced players and you're not really being like the rules guardian, and you really are just storytelling.
Well, you're both.
Yeah, you definitely are a person who has to have a handle on the rules and has to enforce them and things like that. But
you prefer storyteller over, like, game master or dungeon master?
I really do.
But there's not a differentiation in what those people do, right? It's just different
it's just different.
books call them different things.
Exactly. I think DM is Dungeons and Dragons specific. Storyteller, I believe, is
sexual.
like, and it's super sexual. Why does nobody
Yeah.
address that? It's so.
I don't know.
Storyteller is more, though, the D10 White Wolf World of Darkness way of describing it, and then Game Master is something that people invented as like an umbrella term of.
Do you think that DM was not sexualized because no one was having sex for the first, like, decade of playing Dungeons and Dragons? And they didn't realize?
I question that, because
I mean,
like I feel
It's so
like
over.
the like ha 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 nerds weren't having sex. Like, have you met some nerds? They're
but in,
fucking
like,
a
in, like,
lot,
the
like
70s.
all the time.
but, like, in the 70s, you know? Like, maybe... because it's like you said in that one fucking episode of ours where, you know, everything that goes out on the market should pass the 12-year-old boy test.
Yeah,
And that doesn't pass.
it doesn't.
But it must have passed at some point in time. Or it's all a joke. I don't know.
You know what? Like, it passed the publishing company's test, but I feel like maybe I am uncomfortable discussing this because we're talking about, like, yes, people in the 70s, but we're talking about like tweens in the 70s. So I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying I think it might have been, like, genuinely innocent. But that's astounding. Because tweens today...
I don't heckin' know, Avalon. I don't know what tweens today are doing.
You don't hang out with tweens?
No, I don't hang out with any tweens.
I heckin' love tweens.
But I do know that the term makes me super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I don't love it.
Does anyone ever call you a dungeon mistress?
Yes. I was, oh God.
Ooh.
In my first gaming convention where I ran a game, somebody like referred to me as dungeon mistress, and I was like, just because I'm the only girl that is fucking running games at this convention can just...
Was that also a kink convention, though?
What?
Was that also a kink convention?
No, but it was not. It was not a kink convention, but a lot of those same people there are involved in kink conventions.
Well, it's at the same hotel.
Yeah, it's like
It's the same,
it's all the same
like,
people.
producer.
I know.
I would get confused.
Yeah. So I don't like any of those terms. I love storyteller though, because that's really the focus that I put on the games that I run, and it's the games that I've loved the most to be a PC in is when that has been the focus. But there are so
What's a PC?
player character,
What's an NPC?
a non-player character.
Look, now we've established.
Look, Google shit. So when you are looking into like, and like obviously the most like popularized right now, thanks to Critical Role and the Adventure Zone and all of these things happening, Dungeons and Dragons is definitely like at the forefront of tabletop RPGs right now, and that's awesome because it also was like a pioneer in tabletop RPGs. But
It's not technically the OG.
it's not
but,
the
like,
OG.
For mainstream culture's purpose.
Absolutely. But there are so many. Like, there are so many.
How
and
many?
They're so good. There's like, I mean, it's crazy. There are so many that are still extremely like professionally published and popularized. And then there's indie ones that are also equally good and strong. And then there's like people putting them out for free, like for like donations to their Patreon. That's what
Honey Heist.
Honey Heist is. Yeah. Honey Heist is just some guy who's pumping out like just kind of cockamamie ideas for silly one-shots that actually work and not really asking for anything in return except like maybe a donation if you liked it. So there's all of these, there's so many of these games. So when people, a lot of times, like, people will talk to me about customizing Dungeons and Dragons to make it what they want it to be, which is great, you know, and I fully want that to happen whenever. But one of the things that I do often suggest is, like, you know, when you want to do a cyberpunk D&D or whatever, first of all, great, cool, do it. But also, there's fucking tabletop RPG already made called Cyberpunk that's literally in the universe that you want. And like, go try these amazing other games that are out there, or mix them, mash them together to create what you want. If you want elves in your Cyberpunk world, like, yeah, fucking like transfer the world. But I guess I don't want people to just be hung up. Not that Dungeons and Dragons isn't amazing. It is, and I'm obsessed with it, like, unhealthily. But I want people to like find these other games too, now that this like culture has taken off. I want to be like, get your friends together for a fucking game of Vampire the Masquerade.
Which is a big one.
That's
It's not an indie by
no,
any means.
that's a huge one. But like I've encountered some people who've never heard of it before who have now heard of Dungeons and Dragons. So I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Like,
Diversify that shit.
yeah, let's go. And that company, White Wolf and World of Darkness, the whatever fucking chicken egg situation that I don't remember came out of that, it has so many. And so if you are a like dark fantasy person, or, you know, and the high fantasy
Modern,
world
urban fantasy
of Dungeons and Dragons is not totally your thing, whoa boy, is World of Darkness, White Wolf like extremely right to you. And their games are a little less like mechanically based and a little bit more story centric, I guess.
Yeah. The math is easier. The like abilities or stats or skills or whatever they call them in that game are a lot easier. A lot more fluid, I think, during a role play, so you don't have to stumble over that.
Yeah, absolutely. Although 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons has been a lot better in terms of that. As for people who are used to like fucking 3.5 or whatever.
I had somebody yell at me on Facebook the other day that like it's 2nd edition or bust. I was just like, who the fuck says second? I don't know.
No one thinks that. No one thinks. There are 3.5 fans that I will like maybe give them their piece.
I'll give them theirs.
Because that was
I'm not giving any 2nd edition people
3.5
validation
was
because
pretty
they're
good.
Yeah.
It was better in a lot of ways.
Well, I think my understanding is that that's what Pathfinder is closest to. Is
Pathfinder
3.5.
Pathfinder is like a mix between 2 and 3.5. It's like a mishmash between the two. Mishmash between the two. Pathfinder's great. Pathfinder was like, I feel like the leapfrog that got us to 5th edition, where things were finally like,
I think you're right. Yeah.
Evened out.
I also know a lot of people who say things like, if you can't repair it, you shouldn't own it. And I'm putting both of those claims in the same realm of like, get the fuck out of here.
Oh God. Like, if you can't let a thing grow and like enjoy it as it's growing, like, it's okay for you to step away. It's okay for you to have your favorite, but clearly let people enjoy things. It's just, whenever people get like really upset about one of their childhood things being like remade and like do not like that other people are enjoying it, like specifically when they don't like that kids are enjoying it, I'm just like, like, yeah, no, I don't want Drop Dead Fred to be remade either. But if it did and a bunch of kids like really got to enjoy the characters of Drop Dead Fred, I'm not gonna be like, fuck you kids.
I'm not gonna be like, fuck you kids, but I might have to compartmentalize and live in a world where I consciously forget that it's a thing. Which is something I'm very successful at doing, and that's fine with me.
Yeah, that's adult shit right there.
And just even bands, you know, like once they cross a certain number of albums and start sucking, like I just live in a world where they died in a plane crash and it's fine.
Aww. You don't have to talk about Brand New like that.
I fucking never went through a phase of that kind of garbage. I missed the boat on any kind of emo.
I grew up on Long Island. There's
fine.
no
I grew up in
way
Tennessee.
of escaping any of it.
I narrowly avoided that.
That's okay. I love it genuinely, but it's hard to watch those things grow up.
I went through a really weird analog phase right about then. Like, I diverged and became a hipster really hard. And like, it was like vinyl, and
that was a thing when you were like still in high school?
It was. Yeah, it was just starting. It had not, the term hipster was not a term that I was familiar with yet.
Right.
But we all like sold our digital cameras and got like film cameras. We all like swore off computers and like only wore like Goodwill used t-shirts and stuff like that. And got really into like the Strokes.
Oh man, the Strokes. The band.
And I was really shitty. Like, I immediately was like very anti anybody who shopped at Hot Topic, like whatever. We like started making our own clothes.
Wait, we were like the fucking punks were always making their own clothes or whatever, but like there was some difference.
Not calling that punk.
Yeah, there was something different between like the punk years and then like the hipster years, because we all like went to thrift stores and made our own clothes. But it was like patchwork Nirvana t-shirts and like not...
Ours was like very corduroy heavy. And very ironic. Everything had to be ironic.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, we all like diverged together. We were all punk kids together. And then the punk kids split into the hipster kids and the emo kids in like 10th grade.
Wow. Yeah.
We all ate lunch together still.
Oh,
though.
Good. Oh, that's a happy ending.
Yeah. That's but nice. Like, I think we were just shitty about each other's music. But we all liked Led Zeppelin.
We all just threw up at Castle Golf together. If anybody's from Long Island, that would make sense. But I can't imagine anyone from fucking Long Island would listen to a feminist podcast.
I almost just told a story from high school that I'm now realizing is like super not cool, so never mind.
Okay, good. So tabletop RPGs are fucking great.
Yeah.
I'm really happy that this episode is still a wild ride.
So in Mean Girls fashion, because it's been very saturated, because yesterday was October 3rd, and because we're talking about high school, what sort of stereotypical group in high school would you say are some of the main franchises of tabletops?
Oh,
White Wolf is...
Man, so White Wolf is
D&D
the goth
is...
kids. Yeah, obviously.
Okay.
Those are the goth kids.
I don't want D&D to just be nerds.
D&D...
I don't want it to just be nerds and goth kids. I need a jock in there.
D&D is the nerd kids. Honestly, like... And this is not reflective of who was playing them. Because none of these people were fucking playing these games, but that...
No, of course.
That's what group they belong to. But Magic the Gathering was band geeks.
Okay.
Absolutely. Competitive and underappreciated. That's what they loved.
And highly technical.
Highly technical, very, very by the book. And let's see.
It needs something to be a bro.
What? Yeah.
I need a bro.
We need a jock. We need a jock's machina. And I think it's a jock of the tabletop RPG or tabletop gaming. I mean, of tabletop gaming, it's definitely would be Warhammer, or like
40K.
40K is the jock's machina.
Yeah.
That's the
That's
don't
what I'm
care, I
thinking
just
too.
hit it. What are emotions? I hit it with my sticks. So that's my Mean Girls assessment of tabletop gaming.
Is there, like, what's the teen pregnant one?
Teen pregnancy, I mean, I would have to assume, I mean, I feel like that's also the band geeks, because I feel like they were all
Were they
they
pregnant?
were all so sexually active so
Well, that's like theater kids.
quickly. The same thing.
All right.
But
I just want, like, if we could live in a world where we personified each of these franchises, and then each of these person franchises went on BuzzFeed and took a Who Were You in High School quiz.
yeah, that's what would happen. It would be the goth
All
one,
right,
the
good.
nerd one, the jock, the band geek, and then, like, you know,
There's no just, like, straight up pretty normal one.
no, because it disqualifies you. That's a disqualifying answer.
Okay.
It's like you take that quiz and you get Milky Pens. Like, that's what like your
Those are coming back.
loved Milky Pens. So
Yeah, they're the
Yeah.
shit. Also, we were little. And I don't know what was going on in Long Island, but Milky Pens were a thing for me in maybe 5th grade.
like 6th grade through 8th grade was Milky
Okay.
Pens. Yeah, but I fucking love.
When you call them that, like, ew.
I know
Like, it didn't seem gross to me at the time, but now it does.
it's gross because it makes you very aware of the texture of what was coming out of those fucking pens. It was very milky.
I'm having so many Milky Pen flashbacks.
Drawing all over your friend's hand for
Yeah.
drawing
Beautiful colors. So many shades of so many metallic greens.
the metallics. And then, did you ever buy a black notebook
No, but my friend had one.
to draw all like?
I went through a very weird notebook phase in middle school where I purchased from Claire's a notebook for absolutely everything. And I wanted them all to be passed around. Like, there was one for quotes, and I wanted it to just keep getting passed around our friend group, and everybody would put in good quotes. And there was one for, like, doodling, and you would pass around our friend group, everybody doodle. I was just like, there were like 10 notebooks. I don't know what the fuck was going on.
Fucking Claire's is like literally where the devil rests. Wait, like Claire's is an abomination before God. There's no reason for Claire's to exist. It's the craziest place on earth. Like, you can go to Claire's.
I haven't been there in so long.
So first of all, Claire's is a shitty store. If you've never heard of Claire's,
Well,
if
yeah.
you've never been there for some reason,
Who the fuck? Everybody, let's just assume everybody knows what Claire's is.
Claire's, I need people to accept what Claire's is. Claire's is a shitty store. It's a novelty store, like, say, Spencer's, except instead of cheap plastic tearaway underpants, they're selling you cheap plastic costume jewelry. It's a really cheap, shitty store. But when you walk in there, you have the option of going to the desk and saying, "Hello, I would like that 16-year-old girl to fucking pierce my fucking skin with a sharp gun." And they will say yes. They will do it.
They will say yes.
And they will do that despite the fact that thousands of people have gotten infections from getting their ears pierced at fucking Claire's. You can walk into any mall today and be like, "I would like that fucking child to shoot my child with a hot earring."
Yeah, and not just like my infant baby.
Yeah.
Like my 2-year-old.
Yeah.
It's time for that 15-year-old to shoot a hole in her body.
So
so
to
she can be
me,
shinier in the stroller.
Claire's is like some fucking abyss humanity, because this is not new. That's not like, it's not Amazon. It's not like this has been a place that has existed since before I can remember going to malls. So it's just,
Claire's also really enabled my Japanese cultural appropriation.
oh yeah, they love that. Yeah.
I had so many, I'd just go and just get so many hair chopsticks.
Oh, hair chopsticks. Oh god.
Yeah. I remember at one point Claire's had a lot of really interesting inflatable furniture you could buy. And I got one with like kanji on it and like little pandas. It was the world's most uncomfortable inflatable chair. Like you would just slide right out of it.
Well, sure. Because it was made by some 16-year-old girl in some other country who,
Oh god, probably much younger.
yeah.
Well, I think they're going out of business if it makes you feel better. I think they declared bankruptcy.
It does, but also I'm not going to believe it until I see it, first of all, because Claire's clearly made a deal with some sort of fucking Rumpelstiltskin character at some point in time. Two, I mean, like, it took this fucking long? Like, for Claire's to stop.
I spent so much money at Claire's as a middle schooler.
did
I got
too.
so many different best friend related matching keychain
And yet,
mementos.
I have not seen a single one.
Well, for my other best friends, obviously. Did you get your ears pierced at Claire's?
I didn't, because I was so afraid of getting my ears pierced that it took 3 tries, and we had to go to a jeweler who was so... It was really embarrassing. I was very afraid.
Fine, but I just don't know where this is going.
It's just that I once ran out of the store crying as they were about to pierce my ear. I ran down.
Were you like 17?
I was like 15. Like it was
Okay.
too old for me to be that afraid of needles. Also, I was fucking getting stuck with needles constantly all the time, and I just like I never like built up tolerance to things ever.
Yeah. I have a huge needle problem, and I didn't get my ears pierced until I was 15.
Yeah. That was
Not that I was afraid,
that was when I was
but because
afraid.
my parents
was 15,
wouldn't let
and
me.
then I think around 17 I got them pierced, and I got them pierced at a Claire's when I finally did.
Oh, I thought you said you... Okay.
I had gone to I had gone to like several
Fucking liar.
I had gone to several like legit places with my mom, like because she was very obsessed with like going to some place sterile and good.
That's good.
Yeah, but I had freakouts constantly about not doing it. And then, as is me, to then be impulsive one day and be like, I'll do it now. At 17, when I suddenly feel the courage beast hit me and or social pressure or whatever. So I got them pierced, and then they got super infected and swelled up. And the next morning I woke up and I thought that it had fallen off because I saw that my ear like had swelled up, but I couldn't tell that. I didn't know what that was, but I just didn't see the jewel anymore
Yeah.
on one of my ears. And I felt that the back was still there. And I was like, oh, it fell off like in my sleep. And I like started trying to pull it. And I just remember like pulling on this thing and like having so much pain and being like, why is this not coming out?
God.
And then realizing like my mom came in and was just like, I think your ear is swollen, hold on. And like she like pushed on like the underside and like the jewel was like buried in my swollen ear. Because it was so like cauliflowered. It was so bad.
Oh my god. I thought you were going to say that you fucking just kept pulling until you pulled the jewel and everything out through the back. And I was going to fucking scream.
I almost did. That almost happened. Yeah.
Oh my god. That reminds me, I got contacts when I was a kid, and I got contacts when I was a teenager, and my parents were split up, and my first night having them, I couldn't get one of them out of my eye. And my dad has perfect vision, so he couldn't relate to the situation at all. So he held me down and tried to get it off my eyeball for like an hour.
Oh my God.
And like got a Q-tip and was like rubbing it on my fucking eyeball. And it turns out it had fallen out during the day, and we were trying to like literally pry the lens off my cornea because we could feel the natural bump of it. And we were trying to scrape it off.
I am
with a Q-tip.
horrified as a person who will never wear contacts and will be wearing these stupid glasses till the day I fucking die because I can't touch my eyes. That is a literal nightmare. You would have
I just
better
don't
luck
wear anything
going
unless
to
I feel like
fucking Claire's
looking cute.
to tell them
The
that
optometrist,
your
the 13-year-old
contact
optometrist
lens
in the back of
is
Claire's.
stuck on your eye. Be like, excuse me, can you get this off for me, please?
Use that gun.
Yeah, give me that gun. Just shoot this off.
Oh shit. So D&D.
Yeah, tell me any questions you have. What's going on?
Well, I've made a lot of progress in writing my first campaign. It's for Pathfinder.
That's right. I'm so excited for you.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I keep putting it off though because this term is really crazy for me in school. But we're gonna try to do it in November.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm scared
I know.
because I literally don't want to do it unless I do it perfectly, and that's the story of my life. So I just don't do
The thing
things.
is that there's no perfect in tabletop gaming. You hide behind. Do you have a screen?
No.
I'm going to tell you, if you can't get a screen, which you can get, they're cheap. But like if you can't get a screen itself, get something that you can put up as a barrier.
I will. Because I'm going to need to hide.
Hide you. Like literally it'll hide, but not just like hiding you. It's hiding like your
Fumbling
your
and
fumbles,
the bullshitting.
your like
Yeah.
buy yourself time with rolls and things like that. Like honestly, when you're stuck on something, flip a couple pages back and forth ominously while you're thinking. Like honestly, I'm serious. Like
No, I
all the
definitely
things
am.
that
I'm
will
counting on
happen
that.
naturally when you have everything planned out are really easy to fake when you don't have them planned out too. And no one's gonna know the difference between the time that you were really looking for that NPC character's name or that time that you really totally had to fucking make it up.
I'll put a little picture of you also on like my backside of it so that I can feel calm.
Good. Do I make you feel that way? Because that's good.
You make me feel calm and furious depending on the day.
Also, you can have me on your phone muted so that you can't hear me. But what I'll be doing is I'll be like drawing things on pieces of paper and putting them up on the screen. Like when you're
Oh my god,
when
yeah,
you're
do that
stuck.
4 hours a week.
I mean, what the fuck else am I doing? we can make that happen.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, so that should be fun. It should be good. I have to tell you that the more like I pass the point of no return, the more I wish I had not chosen Pathfinder.
Pathfinder is very fun, but it's not the easiest. Is that why?
First of all, I thought it was the easiest, and that's why I chose it. And also because I'd played it before, so I felt like capable.
Yeah.
But I actually think that 5th edition is
It
easier, which I just am an idiot and I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I thought Pathfinder was described to me by the first person who told me about it ages ago as like baby D&D, as like Mordheim D&D. You know what I mean? Like
That
Mordheim
makes
to
literally no
Warhammer.
sense. It's an entirely separate role-playing game.
Well, yeah, I'm increasingly aware of that.
Yeah.
But I find that, like, while it's not bad, you know, and it's not horribly complicated, it doesn't seem as easy to homebrew as D&D does.
No.
And that's what I'm regretting, because I really encouraged a lot of homebrewing from my players.
It's not easy for that Pathfinder because all
it's
the mechanics
not.
are really complicated and specific, and like all of the races have like really,
Very specific.
It's not easy to homebrew.
Yeah, that's why I really regret it. And also, just like it seems to me that there's more like open source community stuff out there for D&D than Pathfinder. Whenever I like have a question with D&D that I Google, I can find an answer pretty quickly on some forum somewhere. But with Pathfinder, I just always end up at like an official site that's telling me to buy a book. Or, you know, if I find a forum that's talking about it, it's maybe like overly technical or not super approachable in its answer, or just not very clear. I just feel like the community support isn't as good.
It's not because it's just not as popular as 5th edition or even
Yeah.
3.5.
I thought it was hella popular. I really did.
I would still,
because when I go to
still use
stores,
Don
like I
John.
see more
Have you
Pathfinder
gone to
books.
Don John? It's not going to help you so much with like rule navigating or character creation, but for the gameplay aspects, Don John still has a whole Pathfinder section. So like you can do
Okay.
random encounters and random stats, random loot, and it'll all follow the Pathfinder rules to a T.
Sweet.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it's just not as, I don't know if that's, I think Pathfinder's great. I wish the community would be bigger, but you know what, it's such a similar game to D&D, and then 5th edition is so
Yeah.
much better.
Better. Damn it. I wonder if it is too late. It actually might not.
I don't know
be.
why it would be. You
It's just
haven't
that I bought
started
books. That's why it's. I think that's the
What's the
problem.
problem?
But nobody's filled out sheets for me.
If nobody,
Everybody's just
if
given
pen
me
has
bios.
not hit paper, it's not too late.
Yeah.
Nobody has filled
I
out
just
a
feel
sheet.
bad. Oh, no, but I have all newbie players, and I'm like trying to pretend like I'm so capable and confident. And we bought these fucking books, and I just feel like it's
Who bought the
gonna
books? They all
undermine
bought the
my
books.
authority. Not authority, but my, what do I want to say? How competent I seem. If at the last minute I'm like, JK, D&D.
All right, first of all, did everybody buy Pathfinder books?
One guy.
All right, whatever. That's not that bad. 2, be like, hey, I've been like comparing and contrasting the rules to these games.
Yeah.
And honestly, D&D 5th edition seems more fun than Pathfinder. And also, you guys have a lot of cool homebrewed stuff that would be much easier for
Yeah.
us to make work in a D&D 5th edition game than in a Pathfinder game. You can say all that and be like, I want your characters to work. Let's play by these rules.
The thing with D&D too is like I can lean on you more.
Yeah.
I can, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I can drunkenly panic text you from the bathroom of a brewery about how to roll a character sheet.
And me
More
from my own bathroom can take a picture of me holding up a piece of toilet paper that says like they need to roll dexterity. I don't know why I made that. So
That's my very
complicated, but
specific
I think
example
it's
because
good.
that happened the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the books are probably easier to find PDFs of, which you can with Pathfinder, but it's not like.
So easy. Also,
So
D&D Character
easy.
Creator for 5th edition is so accessible. D&D Beyond is so
But I
fucking
couldn't
awesome
believe-
and like doesn't.
No. It was so much easier to start with a 5th level D&D character than it was to try to start with a 5th level Pathfinder character in terms of.
Yeah.
I couldn't fucking believe when I realized you had to start with 1st level and then like do it manually.
Yeah.
I should be able to just jump right into it and it should be fairly clear. The thing that really pushed me over the edge is that one of the player characters is playing like a class that exists, but it's an advanced like supplemental class from some book. Like I can't find anywhere, but I can find the information online. But the way they roll their class like bonuses involves dividing.
Oh, shut up.
Why would you do that? Like, why would you roll, like your bonus is D20 divided by 5. Why the fuck wouldn't you just have someone roll a D4? Like, literally.
Because how asinine. Like, it's a D20 based game and you're that, like, hard up for customization that you can't, like, come up with
It took me
something
so
better.
long to try to, one, figure it out. And then once I did, to explain it to my player and to be like, don't worry about it. We're just going to have you roll a D4. This is insane.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, I'll roll 4 D20s. And I was like, see, this is the thing. It's already the blind leading the blind. Like, we do not need to be going through, like, a fucking labyrinth of
And
knives
just,
on
I
top
want
of
you
it.
to examine, like, how complicated Pathfinder can be. And, like, Pathfinder is significantly less complicated than fucking 2nd edition. So whoever said that can just fucking go.
Whoever said that should not have been able to tell me that on Facebook, because I guarantee you the technology they used to tell me that, they could not repair.
Yeah. So in Pathfinder, so that, like, just imagine how fucking long combat is. And that was the number one complaint about Pathfinder 3.5 2nd edition for all of these games. The biggest hurdle for players before 5e, honestly, was how long combat took. It became, I can't honestly imagine, like, how Vox Machina, like, dealt with their shit. Because they were a Pathfinder game in their home game.
Right. That might be why I chose Pathfinder also.
But I think that's why they made the switch when doing the show version, because combat would be fucking unbearable to watch as a viewer. Because as a player, it gets unbearable to like be waiting 10 minutes for the person before you to make their decision, which is supposed to be a 6-second like passage of time is what your turn is supposed to be at 6 seconds. So for you to be sitting there for 10 minutes, literally just every time another person is going, so that could be 40 minutes where you're just sitting there like waiting, wondering, wishing.
Yeah, I guess I assumed that they switched from Pathfinder because either like they didn't get the rights to it, or they like graduated and Pathfinder was too basic, or D&D was more marketable. It never occurred to me that it was less smooth.
I mean, it's probably a combination, but honestly, that show would be unbearable to watch if they were playing Pathfinder. Damn. It would be.
All right.
And I don't think it makes it unbearable to play, but I do think it makes it more challenging to play. It's a good game. I'm playing it this weekend, but it is a slower combat, and to watch, you already know that like watching combat can sometimes, depending on the combat, be like already kind of disengaging.
Yeah, I zone out most of the time.
When it takes like fucking 10 minutes for each character to make their decisions, it's really, really hard to be a viewer of that, and when you're not actually participating.
Well, get ready, because now you're gonna have to co-write my game, because now I have like 2 weeks to change systems.
That's fine.
And like homebrew some classes.
I think it'll be so much easier. It'll be a snap to homebrew those things in 5e. It will be literally like no big deal.
All right, you're right. I'll figure out how to tell everyone in a way that, I mean, they don't fucking care. It's just that I feel like I lose face, but that's not a thing.
It's not. This is having fun and like drinking and playing games with your friends. It's all it is.
Cool.
Yeah.
That actually makes me a little less stressed about it, because my biggest fear is that I'm going to choke while running combat. Like, I'm going to be trying to roll behind my screen for a couple of monsters, and like I'm going to be flustered because I can't do math when I'm stressed. And then I'm going to have really well-meaning players who have literally never played before with totally valid questions about, what their AC is and this and that, because they're also a little flustered, and that I'm not going to be able to coordinate that very well.
So one of the things I would say, especially in the beginning of this game for you, it might be helpful for you behind your screen, which I'm going to enforce that you get a screen of some kind.
I'm going to. I'm definitely going
to. Have
I mean, I'm probably going to just make one.
Have their ACs written on like a little thing, like just a little cheap postcard, whatever, clipped to your screen. Make them get familiar with what their AC is so that they learn how to play the game. But that if things are getting flustered, you can be like, no, your AC is 16, you beat it. Another one important one is I think you can't do it for every stat because you want them to get familiarized with it, and also there are just too many.
Sure.
AC is a big one. And then to have just like, their passive perception.
Yes.
So that's a helpful one, because that's one that you're not going to be asking them to roll. It's one that you're just going to be like, they wouldn't notice this. They're not,
Yeah.
So to have those two as like a little cheat sheet for you so you can move things along. I
also was hoping to make like a cheat sheet for them. Like maybe not for everybody, but for the table. Like just a very simple, like, are you trying to punch somebody? It's going to be like this plus this.
That's cute as fuck.
And then roll this.
But that...
Like just the most basic things. And I think people get the hang of it eventually, but I think it'll help me not have to remember that in the moment and translate it while I'm like doing private math.
That you don't have to do, because that when they fill out their sheets will be apparent, because next to each of their weapons will literally be that. It'll be...
It's not apparent. There's not enough room on the sheet to write things clearly. As a player, it's not apparent to me.
You don't like the 5e sheet? Because you know what we
No.
could probably find? There are multiple versions of it. We could find you one you might like better that has bigger space for that. Because the one that I like emphasizes different parts. Like the one that I like emphasizes your main stats. But you could get one that emphasizes your like equipment or whatever.
I think it just, that one didn't emphasize spells very well for me, is what it was.
Totally. Well, I never like any sheet with how they do spells. I always make my own.
Well, that's,
spellbook.
and almost all of my players are magic.
Oh, I always get apps for spell books because they're always better. That's
Okay.
another benefit
I'll
to
look into
doing
that for
5e
them,
though. There's really great spell
There's
books.
apps, there's so much support, there's so much
There's
shit.
so much good spell book apps. Yeah, I totally.
Plus maybe, and also there seem to be a lot better like NPCs that you can steal. Like they exist for Pathfinder, but they're not great.
The pre-written shit exists. I don't use it,
It's
but
just better for D&D is all I'm saying.
I really like 5e better.
And then I'm already like, I want to do World of Darkness.
I really want to do World of Darkness. I want to do a Vampire the Masquerade. I want to do fucking Changeling the Lost so bad. I want to do Changeling the Lost like right now, and I want to do it with even Francis. Like,
Diana, why can't we play games together?
why can't we?
I don't know.
Like,
It's
it would be
hard.
so easy if you guys got people together and I phoned in.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that actually
Everyone
is
here is
feasible,
all flaky
probably.
AF, so...
But I wanna do like, honestly, I wanna do you and me and other people like in the country.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. If you want to play fucking
other
Changeling the Lost
girls
with Avalon and I,
Or queer people.
let us know.
Yeah, can they have to be girls or queer though?
What?
Can they have to be girls or queer?
Yes, you have to be queer and you have to be awesome.
Yeah.
So play Changeling the Lost with us. It's about the fucking Feywild. So get your shit together. I will write this game. It's already written. I will make this game happen. We'll do it.
Seriously, now taking applications for cool people who preferably identify as femme or I don't fucking care, whatever. I just don't want a guy. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No cis dudes. Cis straight men
No cis dudes.
can just sit this one out.
But if you want to commit to a every other week remote Changeling game, maybe we'll YouTube live it. Changeling means it's about like evil contractual fae and fairies and stuff. In case you don't know that, it would be the best. You don't have to have played before.
I will hold your hand as much as you want to through the character creation process and through the gameplay.
I'm deeply in love with
process.
this.
Yeah, I absolutely will.
Seriously.
Please. Yeah. So
Please.
if you are interested in that, or if somebody you know is interested in that, you think they might be, send that their way. We'll post to it on Instagram and Twitter and everything. And I think, honestly, we
What if we made like a bulletin board, but like for the internet?
like Twitter.
Well, yeah, but we made a posting like as if it was our local fart shop.
Our
Cork
local
board.
taverns, like Trantry board. The like
Well, that's cooler. I just meant your local like gaming store.
yeah.
Murder board.
Adventurers wanted. And
Seriously, let's get on
yeah.
that. I'm feeling inspired.
Okay. So I think that's it for the episode, but I'm really intensely inspired by this idea. I want to do this.
This episode was a mess.
This episode was great. Fuck off.
All right, I don't know.
Avalon's feeling insecure because Francis the Mansplainer deleted our last attempt at this episode. Is he crawling out from the floorboards like a demon now? Because I mentioned.
Oh my god, that's fucking terrifying. No, thank God. It sounds like he's either on the phone or on Destiny chat.
Oh, okay.
Because I hear him.
But yeah, he deleted our last episode, and by accident, of course. He's not like a shit.
Of course.
But it was the same topic, so I think we
So this is our
literally
third time
spoke
doing
about
this topic.
this. I think we literally spoke about this the same way, except this time we came up with this brilliant idea to have a fucking Changeling game, which I am all about.
I am jazzed.
Me, too. So
Yeah,
sweet. That's it though. Like I gotta go.
That's
'cause I gotta
it.
fucking paint
We
the rest
gotta
of
go.
these miniatures for this gaming convention this weekend.
Oh, I want to see them. You don't post enough pictures or send me enough pictures of minis.
I'll show you. Also, somebody asked me to start doing commission miniature painting from Cogs, so I'm gonna maybe start doing that.
Are you good enough?
I don't know. I
don't know either.
I don't think so. I don't have a fucking airbrush machine like most of the people who
Right.
do that shit like do.
Correct.
Yeah, so I feel like the most of the time those paid for commissioned miniature painters are doing like airbrushing, and they're doing like Warhammer armies where you have to paint like 86 dudes the same color scheme in like 10 minutes. Whereas I'm doing like individualized characters, which I still don't think
But
I'm
like how many?
the best.
I feel like that's it.
But there are, I guess, a lot of people who will pay for that, and if I charge a super cheap ass amount, then maybe it'll.
Well, that's my question, because I think that, so I'm somebody who charges cheaply for whatever because I feel insecure about like my product, because I know it's not going to be perfect. But if you think about how many literal hours you're spending, like even that has got to cost a lot.
It's more.
Like how many hours does it take you to paint one mini?
Oh, like one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I mean,
You don't have to like wait for it to
collectively,
dry
like,
and
you,
do other
like,
colors. And...
You usually do more than one at a time, and you layer, and then that takes like a couple minutes, and then you let it sit and dry, and then you work on another
Okay.
one, and then you come back to it when it's dry again, and like collectively all added up together, it takes like.
So how much are you charging per mini?
I don't know, because this was only just suggested to me, so I have no concept. I charge
I'm just intrigued.
$3 for those like rune readings that I do.
No.
And that takes like 25 minutes.
Diana, no.
Okay. We'll talk. Anyway,
Okay.
I gotta go do some labor for this gaming convention. I can't wait to tell everybody about it.
I gotta go do
including
property
you.
budget homework.
You have to do homework. This has been.
Yeah, but I'm gonna tell you so much about property taxes.
Oh my god, I love to hear about that, because I will probably never be relevant to my life.
No, it's not relevant to anyone's lives. It's horrible.
No, awful. The worst.
But in the meantime, if you loved this, whatever this was,
This
fucking
brilliant
chaos
episode
tangent,
of our podcast, you should like and subscribe.
this word salad, you can subscribe to us wherever the fuck you listen to it. You can listen to us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, Podbean, something else, wherever podcasts are sold.
Yeah, pretty much. And you can interact with us, which is more fun, on Instagram at Femsplain Podcast, Twitter at FemsplainCast, Facebook, Femsplain Podcast. You can fucking follow us on Twitch at Femsplained and watch me play video games and do shit. It's going to be awesome. And email us. At femsplainpodcast@gmail.com. Especially email us if you're interested in participating in this game of Changeling the Lost, because it will be off the chain hook.
It'll be off the chain hook. And if you disagree really strongly either about 2nd edition or Pathfinder, I don't care.
No one cares.
And the reason is that I really can't substantiate my argument because I've only dipped my toes in. And because I can't really sustain an argument, I'm really just going to feel defensive. And I'm not going to want to engage.
I can sustain my argument.
Just take yourself to
and
Claire's
so I will
and just
on
punch
behalf of
a bunch of-
Avalon and behalf
Yeah.
of all of us. So
I want everybody who comes at me combatively to go to Claire's and get a Prince Charles.
yeah, just be like, "Hello, Tiffany. Can you please shoot that fucking plastic knife into my dick with a gun?" And she's gonna be like, "That'll be $8." And you'll say, "Thanks, Tiffany." And that's it.
Yep. All right. So have fun with that,
Okay.
guys.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.